Hello, it's Mr. H here with you, and it's now time for the Mongols. If you're a Chinese ruler, or Russian ruler, Arab, anything out of China, taking a look out the window and you see this, it's bad news. Now, if you're with one of the common people, this might actually work out for you. You'll see what I'm talking about in a few minutes. So, Chinese unification always comes from the north. Song dynasty in the south fighting against the Khitan from the north, Khitan or Lao or Jin, whatever you wish to call them. And of course, the Khitan are winning. They're grinding the Song further and further south. So eventually they're going to lose. And China does get unified from the north. But it's not the Khitan, it's the Mongols. Welcome to giving Eurasia a permanent psychological scar. Here's the really bad news. What's that thing he's holding in his hand? It's the Mongol recurved bow. This is the deadliest weapon on the planet until the repeating rifle. You can hit targets a half-mile away with this thing. If you arc it up, you can hit them a mile away. It's got a draw weight of 150 pounds, and it can punch through armor. See these little pony things they're riding? Don't let that fool you. The Mongolian pony, that thing will run forever. Eats a little bit of grass, keeps on going, kind of like a Mazda. They're invincible, don't require a whole lot of upkeep. They're happy to run. They love it. They'll carry you. Just keep conquering stuff. Now, Temujin. Who is this guy? We like to call him Genghis Khan. Sometimes you see a Genghis Khan or Chinggis Khan. This is probably correct, Chinggis, but I kind of like the sound of Genghis Khan. If you don't believe one person can change history, this is Exhibit A, Genghis Khan. This guy is the American dream. He came from nowhere with nothing, ends up owning half of Eurasia. Born in the year 1167, his father was a minor tribal lord, and he was poisoned, stopped off to visit enemies, and like an idiot, he actually took some food, and he dies. So Temujin's family is homeless, is living in the Siberian woods, eating raw fish, and this guy is going to lead the Mongols, who are living halfway into the Stone Age, to conquer half of Eurasia. How are they going to do it? These guys just come out of absolutely nowhere. Kind of like the Buffalo Bills coming out of nowhere winning the Super Bowl. Not that I said that, watch, they'll win the Super Bowl. But anyway, point is, nobody saw this coming. No one expected this to happen, which is probably why it happened. No one expected it to. Even Genghis Khan probably wasn't planning on it, but hey, it happened. And here's how it happened. Three-step plan to success. Genghis Khan was a man of extraordinary charisma. People rally to him. The man is sitting in the middle of the woods eating frogs and fish, and people rally. He gets a small army together, about a dozen people. They start raiding the other tribes. People start joining him because he said, "Join me, we split everything." And look at this, fighting other Mongols. That's the best practice you can get. Took 40 years to weld the Mongols into an army. 40 years. And only about 15 to rip all the way from the Pacific to the Mediterranean. All right, young age of 60, decided to go out and conquer the world. It's never too late to be what you should have been, right? So charisma, extraordinary charisma is success step number one for Genghis Khan. Here's number two, you already know that. The Mongol recurved bow. This thing is absolutely deadly. Got some bigger horses, it looks like. Look at this. Arrows coming back, big deal. They don't look too worried about it. So here come the bow and arrows. They punch through armor. They arc down, they hit you in the face and over there around the neck area, and it's basically over. As you're bleeding to death, here come the guy with the lances. Oh, and they've learned how to put armor on the horse. One thing about the Mongols, they have no problem picking up tactics and ideas from other people. So, step number two is the Mongol recurved bow. Step number one, remember, extraordinary charisma. And here's number three. When I said you're a common person and the Mongols show up, it might work out for you. Genghis Khan exempted the poor and the clergy from taxes, encourages literacy, established a free religion. So he doesn't care about your religion. As long as you fight for him, he's fine. Encourage literacy. Why? Why is literacy so important? You already know why. If you can read the instruction manual, you can do anything. The poor don't have to pay any taxes. Just fight alongside me. The Khan gets 10% of all the loot, but you know, he's not going to take too much. And of course the clergy, because religion's not a really big thing with the Mongols. They were kind of nature worshippers. Their religion, Tengriism, kind of worshiping the everlasting sky kind of thing. Eventually, I'll pick up other religions along the way. A few of them become Muslims. We got some Buddhists, ironically enough. So, kind of very flexible to religion, the Mongols. So, one by one, then in groups, nations in the east start falling like dominoes. First thing the Mongols got to do, going to invade China. What's the problem? Got the Great Wall right in front of you. So what? Genghis Khan takes a look and has an absolute stroke of genius. He says, let's just ride around the wall. So what he does, got to end to it somewhere, ride around. It's 1,200 miles, but no problem. Why? Why do they do this? How can they do this? Because they're Mongols. Get used to that. Because they're Mongols. Take down here the ally, invade northern China. Remember the Jin? Jin are facing south. Here come the Mongols attacking from behind. In the year 1206, let's roll. Now it's going to be a long, tough fight. In China, lots of people, lots of cities. And guess what? The Mongols start learning siege warfare from the Chinese who have joined their side. It's going to take a very long time, 1206 to 1227, 21 years of fighting. But you're Mongols, you got nothing else to do, and you've learned siege warfare. Nobody's safe from the Mongols now. And they're good at multitasking, because as they're fighting in China for 21 years, they go out and attack the rest of the world. As they're knocking off cities in China, northern China, the Mongols destroy, yes, absolutely destroy Khwarezmia, or Khwarezm, some people like to call it. You're asking, where is this place? Used to be in Central Asia. There's a map. Looks pretty good. I'm pretty big, pretty strong. There's a capital there, Samarkand. Over there in Uzbekistan today. Run by Muhammad II. Now, there are certain things you simply do not do. And one thing is, never ever put your hands on a Mongol ambassador. Now, in this era, or any era, there's always the chance that the guy you send with a message ends up getting killed. Right? You ever hear shoot the messenger? Is where it comes from. Now, everyone knows there's a risk in delivering a message to an enemy sovereign who doesn't want to hear what you have to say. And naturally, the people Genghis Khan sent on a trade mission were somewhat nervous. And he said, do not worry, because should you die in the service of the Khan, the nation responsible will be obliterated. Good luck finding this country on a map. Khwarezm, not around anymore. Well, Muhammad II, of course, kills the ambassadors, chops their heads off, loots the caravan, and you've gone to war with the Mongols. Now, they never planned on invading Central Asia and taking over the planet. It's kind of like Rome, getting mixed up in Sicily. Didn't really expect to get into the world empire business. Mongols, yep, they're in it now, and believe me, they're going to do pretty well. The Mongol strategic maneuver. Mongol armies do not move in terms of miles. Mongol armies move in terms of latitude and longitude, and they will attack you from several directions at the same time, usually from the one you don't expect. Jagate, one of the people who hung out with him in the woods, General Jokchi, another great general, Jebe. All these people were Genghis Khan at the beginning are fairly close. We got 3 attacks coming at you. Here comes the 4th one, going to come around to hit you from behind. And he's coming through the Quizzlekum Desert, which is a really awful desert. But they're going to ride right through it. Why can they ride through a desert? Because they're Mongols. Genghis Khan takes the hardest and longest trip because he's the leader. Old man Genghis here, looking at 60 in the rearview mirror, takes his army right through the desert, and they hit Samarkand from behind and completely destroy Khwarezm, and now Central Asia belongs to the Mongols. They never actually caught Muhammad. He died on the run, but I think they kind of forgot about him after destroying most of Central Asia. Mongol multitasking. We spoke about this earlier. Khwarezmia is gone in 220. Chinese cities in the north being taken one by one. 1227, Beijing, the capital, finally falls. All of China doesn't belong to the Song, now belongs to the Mongols in 1234. The Song are going to hold out longer than anyone else. And here they go, fighting in China, looking at Korea, probing the Middle East, invading Russia. They've learned siege warfare. They can gallop through deserts. They gallop through mountains. Why? Because they're Mongols. Nothing stops these guys. It's just invincible. Can't do anything to stop them. Only one thing can stop Genghis Khan. You know what that is, right? The Grim Reaper, but he hasn't shown up yet. The greatest happiness is to scatter your enemy, to drive him before you, to see his cities reduced to ashes, to see those who love him shrouded in tears, and to gather into your bosom his wives and daughters. Yep, that's Genghis Khan for you. You can tell the man really loves his work. It's kind of hard to fight somebody like this. So here are the age-old problem of succession. If you give it to the son, son might be an idiot. Keep it in the family, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The 5 good emperors, give it to the best person regardless of who he's related to. Seems to be working okay. Always have elections. Wait for Anastasius to walk through the door. Give it to the guy who comes through the door. Leave it to chance. I don't recommend that. Genghis Khan had his own solution. Yep, you know what he's going to do? He's going to have 700 children. Yep, 700. He's playing the odds. Because out of 700 kids, somebody's got to know what they're doing. 1 in 16 chance. Everybody here is related to Genghis Khan. 1 in 16 chance. Genghis Khan, very active in his old age. So his solution is 700 kids. Give it to the talented son. The rest who feel slighted, send them out to the edge of the empire so they are busy. Talented son he picks is Ogedei. From 1229 to 1241, who's going to be his reign. Genghis Khan dies in 1227. You see a little gap there because, it takes a while for news to get out. So after Genghis Khan drops off in 1229, Ogedei. Meanwhile, the Mongols are pushing down into India. Found out it was a little too hot and you got the jungles over there. They're over in Korea. Tons of hills right over them. Why the Mongols? Slam into Russia from the south, coming through the Caucasus Mountains. Cavalry army coming through the Caucasus Mountains. Why? Because they're Mongols. Sack of Kiev in 1240. Yep, Kiev decided not to surrender. Kiev decided to fight. There isn't a Kiev. Not an eye remained open. Not an eye remained to weep for the dead. I'm not sure who survived to write that, but, Kiev has been destroyed. Got to rebuild it again. Mongols are invading Eastern Europe. They're trashing Poland. They're in Hungary. A few isolated patrols make it to the Adriatic. Big battle, Ignisa. They killed a ton of Teutonic Knights, Poles, Hungarians, cut off the ears, allegedly 9 sacks of ears they're sending back to Mongolia. Then Ogedei dies. Whoops, kind of dropped off. No one really saw that one coming. All right, hey, you had 700 kids, now you got 699 to pick from. So they give it again to Goyak. Goyak's a bit of an alcoholic. But he's smart enough to just kind of crawl into the bottle and pull a cork in behind him. He's there from 1241 to 1248. He's smart enough to just kind of stay out of the way. So anyway, he dies in 1248. Lasted longer than people thought he would. Probably liver failure. Oh, now you got, how many kids you got? 698 kids to pick from. Monkey Khan. 1248 or 1251. Depends how you take. Like you said, right? Guyak dies. It takes a while for news to get back. So anyway. So either way you look at it, Monkey Khan is running the show, definitely by 1251. It's only around for 8 years, which is, a little bit surprising, but that's okay. He takes over, hops in the saddle like the old man, and leads the charge into the Middle East. Remember the Abbasid Caliphate? Oh, you haven't seen these guys yet. Well, you know the Abbasid Caliphate got started in 750. Now you know when it ends. Yeah, 1258. You know why it ends. Mongols, if something gets utterly destroyed in the Middle Ages, chances are Mongols. He said, Allah will protect me. The Caliph is, Allah will protect me. Nope, not happening. Totally destroyed. Built a pile of heads to blot out the sun. I'm not sure they actually pulled it off or not, but if anyone can, it's the Mongols. Headed towards the Mediterranean and the sunny beaches. Place called Angelut. They're finally defeated. Goliath Springs, if you want to switch over to English. Right? Mameluke Turks defeat them in 1260 and finally stop them at the beaches of the Med in present-day Lebanon. It's pretty good. All the way from the Pacific to Lebanon, I gotta admit, I'm impressed. So, if they won at Angelut, man, I mean, they're headed right into Egypt. Could you imagine a Mongol Khan looking at the pyramids feeding crocodiles? It almost happened. All right, we got Kublai Khan. We had about 5 years. Nobody really knew who was in charge for a while. The empire just kind of expands along. No problem. Everyone's happy. Decides somebody finally needs to be in charge. And here we are, Kublai Khan. He's the grandson. Right, so he had 700 kids, and how many grandsons? Look like 1,400 or so. So Kublai Khan is the guy they pick. This guy looks like Kublai Khan. Kind of a hefty fellow. Now look at this. He's not sitting in a yurt somewhere. Look at this. Got gold all around him. Right, that third generation usually reaps the rewards. Why? Because the empire's been there his whole life, right? But Kublai Khan's a pretty good emperor. Of course, he's running out, a very good Khan, I should say. He's running out of things to hit, though. Because when you've conquered everything and you're sitting in Mongolia and then moving down to China, you start running out of targets. And that's another problem you'll see with the Mongols. They tend to get absorbed by the people they conquer. But we'll get to that in a second. Tries to invade Japan in 1274. Built a fleet. Oh my God, the Mongols have boats now. Didn't work. The kamikaze, divine wind. Oh, I've heard that before, haven't you? Storm wrecks the Mongol fleet. 1279, they finally conquer the Song. Last Chinese dynasty to hold out finally goes down for the count. 1280, take the Song's navy, try to invade Japan again. Oh, we got kamikazes again. All right, the kamikaze, divine wind. Monsoon of some kind. A few Mongols go on the beach, not going to be able to do anything. Not the end of Mongol naval adventures. They go all the way down to Java. Yeah, way down to Java in Indonesia, 1293. Get on the beach, overrun half the island. Turn around and go home. Why? Cost too much. Have to mount a naval invasion that far away. Southern reach of China, all the way to Indonesia. It's not cheap. Yep, and they decided, yeah, we don't really need this stuff after all. Turn around, go home. So two things that stop a Mongol: Grim Reaper and bankruptcy. Well, 1294, Kublai Khan dies. Look how big this empire is, man. Look at the size of this thing. Most of Russia, all of Central Asia. We've got Iran down here, reached the Mediterranean. Angelu's here. Most of China and Vietnam. And look, down here's Java, way down here, not even on the screen. The Navy went all the way down there. Had trouble getting to Japan, but we can get all the way to Geneva, right? Oh, can't help but be impressed by something like this. But you know what? It's always that succession problem. As the third generation, things start to fall apart. And there's also distance. If anybody can handle distance, it's a Mongol, but they're not totally immune to the effects of distance. And I'll show you what. Now, here you are. You're a Mongol, right? How many Chinese are there? Tons of Chinese, right? Here's the original Mongol capital they built, Karakoram. Later they move it to Beijing. So, Genghis Khan conquers China. His grandson, Kublai Khan, has a capital in Beijing, and everybody around is speaking Chinese. Further you get out, how many Mongols you find out here, right? So we got Bill Mongol out here in Russia. He wants to get married. It's not really a lot of Mongol women out this way, right? Ends up marrying a Russian. End up with Vladimir Putin. Same thing down here. Further out you go. So the Mongols tend to just kind of get absorbed by the people who conquer them. Got the Khanate of the Great Khan. This is, Mongolia close by. It'll last to 1368 in the Ming. We'll worry about next slide. Here's the Golden Horde. People call them Kipchak sometime. I just call them Golden Horde. They're the ones fighting with Russia all the way back to Mongolia. So they're going to be around a while. Chagatai Khanate. It just sits here in the middle. This thing is totally unremarkable until it spits out Tamerlane. You meet him a little bit later on. And here we are, the Ilkhanate of Persia. Didn't really fall. It just kind of disappeared one day. Yeah, they put the year 1335 and it vanishes. No rebellion, no overthrow. They just changed the letterhead. Yeah. All the Mongols that came in 2 generations later married local girls and boom, everybody's Persian. Just one of those things that happen. So they're going to be around a while here fighting against the Russians, and Chagatai will be around for a while. What's going on here back in the original Mongolian part of the map here? Going to get overthrown in 1368. The Ming Dynasty. Now the Mongol Dynasty, or in Chinese, Wan, right? Going to be overthrown 1368 by the Ming, which is Chinese for brilliant. Right, there's no ego problems there. So 1227-ish or so, all the way to 1368 or 1279, conquest of the Song. The Mongols are running China. And like I said before, spend enough time there and hey, the Mongols conquered China. 3 generations later, everyone's speaking Chinese and the capital's in Beijing. So China has a way of absorbing invaders. Someone once said, conquering China is like a sword going through water. You'll go through the water, but eventually the sword's going to rust. So China, if there's a definition of invincible, that's how you spell invincible. China. China. Of course, Mongols are pretty close too, aren't they? All right. That's enough for Mongols today. Have a great day. See you later.